All right, guys, we are back. Another podcast episode, and we've got our first female guest on this week. First female guest we ever had on the Limitless podcast, and here we go. I'm gonna let her introduce herself. Go ahead, tell them who you are and what you're doing and what you do.
That sounds pretty sexist. But my name is Katie Wright. I'm with Century 21. I'm a real estate agent. I'm an investor, and I own multiple businesses.
All right, so brought you on today for a bunch of different reasons and wanted to go over some stuff with you. So I met you a while ago. Is that funny to you?
Yes.
So I met you a while ago, obviously, in the field. And when I first met you until now, right? Talk about like from a business perspective, what your mindset looked like then, how you got into real estate and where you're at right now.
Sure, yeah. So I got into real estate part-time. I was working another job that I absolutely hated, like most of us, and we needed to make a change in our lives. So I went and started real estate part-time, and I think you did too. When you were miserable at your job,
right.
You kind of started part-time. And then all of a sudden, you take that next jump and you're in real estate full-time. I think my mindset, obviously, everybody's mindset grows and changes. And so when I first started real estate, I was cold calling. I was a hustler. I did 18 deals my first year, which is kind of unheard of. A lot of agents really don't even close 1 to 2 deals a year. So my first year, I didn't really know many people in Rhode Island. I'm not from here. They kept saying I wasn't going to be able to make it in real estate. 18 deals my first year, 30-something deals my second year. I would just hit the phones nonstop. From there, I kind of, to now, obviously there was a lot of growth in between. And so I branched out to different businesses. I started flipping a lot of houses and buying businesses. And
So let's back up. You went 5,000 miles an hour like normal.
Well, I mean, come on. You asked
through
me
where
a
you were
million
at.
questions.
You went like from fucking starting out at 0 to 36. Nobody. So, all right. So I remember when I kind of started understanding who you were and what you were about, you had a different mindset. You came out you went to Tony Robbins, right? I remember you said you did that.
I did, and then I quit my job.
Quit your job.
Day.
You quit your job. What would you say to somebody that works a 9 to 5? They hate every single day. They cannot stand what they do, but they don't know what to do next, and they don't know where to go next, and they're scared to make the jump. How would you advise them, and what would you tell them to do right now, knowing what you know, whether it's in real estate or any other business? What would be your advice?
What works for me doesn't work for everybody else. I went to a Tony Robbins event based on what somebody told me. Some people think it's a cult. It worked for me. I quit my job the next day and became a full-time real estate agent. However, that might not work for everybody. I think that if you're miserable at your job and you hate your life every day, you need to do something. You can't be stuck in that mindset of hating your life.
But a lot of people are. So I would say, how I look at it, I'm going to give you my answer.
Okay, I didn't ask, but.
Well, I'm going to give it to you anyway. So the right answer there was you worked that 9 to 5 to pay your bills.
Yes.
And then from 5:01 to 9, so you go back.
That's what you did.
Right, so that's how it worked for me.
But that might not work for everybody.
Correct. So your answer was what I did might not work for you, and my answer is here's what worked for me. 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock, I did my other thing, and I found something that I liked and I enjoyed, and that could give me no ceiling and no potential, and I had ultimate potential. Limitless potential, right? And then on your end, you kind of just said cold turkey. So the two ways.
I think I was just so miserable that
right,
I
but
just
there's
wanted
two ways
out.
to do it. You either go cold turkey and you say I'm done.
But I was scared. Obviously, I was scared I wasn't going to make $30,000 a year. I didn't know if I was going to be able to pay my bills. I mean, that was a scary, scary number for me. I was making $30,000 a year as a paralegal, and I fucking hated it. And then you're right. I kind of read some books, and I started, a different mindset of not hating my life so much and being so negative all the time. And now you start reading those books, and you start growing and getting into different things. And so for me, I quit my job the next day. And even though I think what really pushed me was the $30,000 in my head. I was like, I need to make at least $30,000.
Right. Otherwise, it makes no sense.
Otherwise, I don't know what I'm going to do.
You're going backwards.
Yeah, my kids, we're not going to eat.
Right.
So that was the push for me. And then.
So now where you at? So now you've bought, you've done flips. It sounds like there's an avalanche coming through. You've done some flips.
Some, sure.
You've done a bunch of flips. You've done you own an office with Kirsten in Lincoln.
Yes. I just purchased a
You
laundromat.
bought a laundromat.
Yes.
So what are you doing now? What's your thought process? Like, where's your head at now? Like, versus when you trying to just make it happen?
My mindset now is to diversify all the funds that I have. So anything that I make in real estate and flipping either goes right back into flipping or it diversifies into some other investment that I can do, courtesy of Kyle Seyboth. But I do like to diversify all the funds that I make.
Yeah, I mean, so you're looking at it now. So the growth in how many years is that? When you start?
Real estate?
Mm-hmm.
7 years ago, let's just say.
So 7 years. So from 7 years, trying to make $30K to make it work, to make it happen so your kids could be good. And now flipping, investing, owning companies, doing that sort of thing, right? With that comes more headaches, right? More stress, more problems. But I can attest, I think you got more time for your kids now than you had in the beginning.
I had no time for my kids in the beginning because I sacrificed everything when I jumped into real estate full time. So when they were little, it's hard to say this as a mother, but I definitely didn't spend a lot of time with them because I was so hooked on trying to just make that $30,000 a year at least. Fast forward to now, I can kind of pick and choose my clients. I can kind of pick and choose what I want to do. Everything's kind of systemized somewhat. And so now I spend, the minute that they get off the bus, I'm with them. And that's important to me. That might not be important to others. That's something that I wanted to, I don't care about showings. I don't care about any of that when my kids are with me. I want to be at every soccer game. That's something that I feel fortunate enough now that I can do, that I want to do. So
right,
yes, the money's great and the businesses are great, but that's really what matters to me at the end of the day.
So that worked out, right? So at the end of the day, your goal was to get to a point where you could build financial freedom and you could do what you wanted to do. And at the end of the day, now you're in a position where you could do that.
Yes, and pick and choose clients is great too.
Right, you could pick and choose who you want.
Yes.
I don't pick and choose. I just pick them all.
No, you're absolutely right.
I'll choose
but
all of
I
them.
see the headaches day in and day out.
I'll
It's not
choose all
that.
of them.
The past 7 years have been wonderful, and I've met a lot of great people. But sometimes you have to admit that you do get, stressed and burnt and, beat up. And I don't think people realize that as realtors, the beating we take sometimes.
It's constant.
They think that it's all just, we pull up in fancy cars, we make all this money. They
Well,
do not
you
realize.
pull up in fancy cars. I don't.
Kyle, don't even play like you did not have fancy cars.
You pull up in fancy cars.
Kyle.
I got an Acura from
Kyle,
2018.
to sit here on this podcast,
pull up in
you
fancy
are a
cars.
lying sack of shit. Yes, you have an Acura now. You did have a few cars before that. Let's not get into that.
Keep it moving.
Okay. Keep it going, buddy.
All right, so what's next for you?
What's next for
What's
me?
next?
What's next for me is to keep building. I'm really enjoying this laundromat thing, I have to say. I do want to branch out and buy some more laundromats and, keep.
So what do you like about it?
I love learning, and I love learning the operations behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I like learning everything. I mean, to go into a business that you know nothing about after I've been so used to real estate, learning the ins and outs of that for 7 years. Now to start a new business, you just realize how much you really don't know about each industry. It's hard. And I'm losing right now each month. And so,
How fun is that?
It's so fun losing money each month.
Isn't it fun?
No, it's not. But that's what makes me, I think I love the challenge of it. Just like the real estate at the beginning. Like, I love the challenge of it. Can I do this? People are telling me, I don't know anybody from Rhode Island, so I can't close any deals. Okay, I did. Nobody says you can't. Women can't flip houses. Okay, we do. And now it's like the laundromat thing is like, I like the challenge of not knowing and actually losing right now because I can't wait for it to gain next year. And you say the same thing about the cannabis.
100%.
Look at the cannabis last year compared to the cannabis this year. What a difference has that made for you?
Last year we were doing in February and March, I think like $200 a day.
Yeah, we were stressed.
And now it's at $13,000 a day.
Exactly.
So
Give it a year.
It takes time, but I think at the end of the day you learned a good lesson from opening that, right? I think you learned a hell of a lesson.
I think I learned a lot of lessons.
Yeah, you learned a good lesson. Like, it's not that easy.
It's not easy.
It's really hard when you try something from scratch. You've got to deal with staff. You've got to deal with expenses. You've got to deal with all that sort of stuff.
Even just learning, like I said, the operations behind it. Yes.
You're trying to still learn. I know from listening to what you're doing, like, you're still trying to figure out what your break even is.
Yes, we don't know yet.
What's your monthly
Waiting for
break
the
even?
taxes.
Correct. What is your revenue you need to make to be in the black? Never
That's
mind
why it's
in the green.
important. You have a bookkeeper, you have all these people behind you, but you really need to analyze the P&Ls and figure it out, right?
Correct.
Okay.
right? So flipping, you wanted to get into flipping, you wanted to do that, you wanted to get into that game. What was it about that you liked? What did you like about it?
What do I like about flipping? Besides the profit,
What about the losses?
I haven't taken many.
You got lucky. Because I take them all.
He does take them all.
All
You
the
know why?
losers, she's like, nah, I'm not
that's
on that
true.
one. I'm not on that one.
That's not true. Kyle buys, if the house is fucking falling down, Kyle's like, I'll buy it. And then he wonders why he takes these huge losses
Right.
because the house is fucking falling down.
Right.
I'm a little bit more analytical when it comes to, or particular.
Or conservative.
Or conservative when it comes
Conservative.
to flipping.
Yeah.
I don't want houses that have burned down on fire. I don't want to do that. But
Right.
I will purchase the ones that need cosmetic or, a few mechanicals and cosmetic. Yes, that's something that I can handle, but I can't handle or don't want to handle
We know.
the insurance.
You don't want the
claim ones.
losers. You want the winners.
Why would you want to buy the losers?
You claim all the winners.
Why would you want to buy the losers?
So what was the hardest part to get into?
For
someone that never did a flip ever-
Again, learning. So,
right?
learning hard money, not utilizing your own liquid. I don't want to use my own cash. I want to use somebody else's cash to make money. Figuring out draws, that, that whole scenario. I mean, that's so easy now when you're down to it, but it's very hard explaining it to somebody who has not flipped a house before because they don't know what hard money is. They don't know what draws are. And I didn't know that either. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I did because I didn't. But just learning it was, I think, a learning curve. And then also knowing the house, what it really needs in and out. I mean, when you and I walk through a house, I point out things and then you point out different things. So it just works.
Right. And I think at the end of the day, if someone's getting started and never did it before, I think they got to expect that everything's not a win. That you're going to take L's. And,
I agree.
and explain.
No, I'm sure I'll be there.
No, yeah, you will. You will.
But
'Cause
when I'm with you, I'm sure I'll be there.
I'm not going to let you off the losers anymore. You're going to have to come in on the losers.
I know this sounds sexist.
Just like
but
Naples, right? Naples,
I didn't want fucking Naples.
Right,
and guess
right.
who's having a huge loss on
Huge
Naples?
loss.
Yeah, all right. Well, I
Right.
guess I was smart about that one. But anyway, I think as a woman, because I know you say sexist comments all the
No,
time.
I don't. That's not true. False.
Okay.
Keep going.
Anyway, as a woman in flipping, I do love flipping because I think at the very end, when we're polishing up everything and when we're deciding the cosmetics inside, you do have to give me some credit that I do pick out. It's not all grays, it's not all
your
whites.
stuff looks different. You take the time. I'll give you that.
I do take the time. I like
to
patterned
go through
floors.
it.
I like,
Yeah.
different colors. I don't like the grays. The contractors pick out the same thing. They're so used to flipping all the time. They pick out the same shit. White kitchens. Here's, the same stuff all the time. And that's just not me. I like to put a little bit more thought and effort into mine. And I think of it as a woman.
Right. So you definitely put more time and effort into that end, into the back end and the thoughts on it.
Correct. I do.
I think at the end of the day, that's
do.
that's helpful, and it's actually helped you get a little more. Some of yourself for more than I thought because you do that.
It's helped so much, and I'm going to tell you why. Because when I go to list it, who comes through, right? The families come through.
Right.
The men and the women come through to these investment properties.
And the parents are there.
Yes.
Right.
And what's the first thing that they notice?
No, they like
Are they really looking at the mechanical stuff? No, they're not, because they're just buyers. They're first-time home buyers. And the dads bought a house 30 years ago, so they think they know what they're talking about. However, I think when the women come through, it really sells to them because what's been picked out. That's all. It's not the same shit that everybody else does.
No, 100%. So when you look at that, right, and you borrow hard money,
Yes.
how do you deal with the juice every month?
I pay it. What do
Yeah,
you do? How do you deal with
How does that feel every month?
How does it feel?
How does it feel
for
to pay?
anybody
No, it
to
sucks.
pay juice every month?
It's terrible.
I don't know what you want me to say
But people
here.
don't understand that. They think that you're just going to borrow money, you're just going to go ahead and move forward. They don't realize that you have 3 projects, you're borrowing $400K a project. That's 12%. That's $48,000 a year. That's $4,000 a month. You do that 3 times, that's $12,000 a month. People cannot do that, and that's where they get fucked up and they lose.
I totally agree
So
with you.
how do you plan on paying your juice every month?
You have to realize how many projects you're going into, and you need to have that calculated prior to. I don't know
Right.
how else to really say that. I mean, I was speaking to somebody yesterday trying to break it down, and it was like foreign. Like they
Right.
didn't understand why they needed to pay. Why couldn't they just pay a regular mortgage payment? Why they had to pay such a inflated payment? I don't know how to break that down to people.
You got to pay to play. That's why the
Right.
answer is pretty simple. Like if you're gonna use my money, right, and I'm the bank and I'm the private financer, you're gonna pay me to use my money.
That's
And-
very true.
and
But I
that's the
think just
reality.
maybe normal mindsets, it's very hard, again, to learn a business and
Correct.
to understand that. That's
Correct.
all.
So as a realtor now, we're gonna go back to the realtor.
my gosh.
As a realtor now, where has the business changed since you started? Right, you got in the game Think about it. You got in the game, you were cold calling. I mean, you talked about it, but I know what you were doing. You're calling FISBOs, you're calling expires. Now there's no FISBOs, there's no expires. There's the game, there's 4,500 realtors in Rhode Island. So if I'm a new realtor right now, what would I do? I'm a new realtor, I'm female, new realtor, I'm young. Back when you got started at 37.
What? Better watch
Back
your mouth.
when you got started.
No way.
Nah, back when you got started, what were you doing? Like, what would you
That
tell
was-
some?
you just told us
what
what
would
we
you
were
tell
doing.
somebody to do right now?
Today, I tell all my agents to do open houses nonstop. You better be there Saturday and Sunday. Any open house that I do, when you go in there with a good attitude and a bubbly personality, chances are you're going to come out with a buyer, seller, or both. One open house I did, I made $80,000 off of one open house. And that was because that open house was so slammed with people. All the buyers and sellers that came in, I think I caught 4 or 5 of them, and they were buying and selling each one. That month was an $80,000 month.
So at the end of the day, if you're a new agent, right, you gotta, because a lot of agents don't want to do open houses.
Mm-hmm.
They think it's a waste of time.
Waste of time. They don't want to
be
do it. Or
bothered.
the biggest reason would be because they're lazy. So
They're
if you're
lazy.
lazy and you don't want to do an open house, they want leads. They want it to all
They
come
want
to them.
everything
That's not
handed.
how this business works.
Right.
So if you want to put the hustle in and if you want to work for it, then you're going to make money. But if you think these leads are going to come to you, or Zillow leads, or our leads, Limitless leads, I mean that's just not. That's
You've
just
got
not
to
how
do
it
the
goes.
open houses. Now you can't call with no expires. You're not calling that. So who you calling?
I don't know who they're calling. I'm not calling anybody.
I know you're not, but who's a new person calling?
I say open houses. You just
Just
asked
open
me.
houses?
I love open houses. There's no better way to get face-to-face contact than an open house.
Would you join a team if you were new right now? If you had no chance, like if you
I've
had.
never had interest in a team, so you can't really ask me that. I've never had interest in a team, and I don't want to give advice to somebody that I wouldn't take myself. I'm just, that's
Nah, it's
my
good.
personality. I like to work for
I
myself.
think you would. If I were somebody brand new, I would join a team because I think you need right now.
Guidance,
I think
mentorship.
guidance, mentorship, leads. I think opportunities, at bats.
But think about it, you can
houses.
join an office for that too. And
You
so
can.
we have the 7 offices,
No,
and
yeah,
that's
you
what we
can.
provide.
Of course.
It doesn't necessarily need to be like, I love Jason Pacheco, I love what he stands for, I love his team, but then Kirsten and I also do that at our office as well. So I
Correct.
think that it just depends on that person's personality and what they want to do.
Correct. So I got to ask you. I ask everybody else. What the?
Oh, I don't know if I want to answer
You got
this.
to answer it.
No, I
it's
don't.
easy fucking question. Though. What does limitless mindset mean to you?
It just
right
means-
now.
Whoa,
Right now.
relax. It just means I think limitless possibilities is that
Mm-hmm.
mindset. I can do whatever I want. I can do as much as I want. I can sell as much as I want. I can make as much as I want. And that's what I really love about Limitless.
And the mindset.
That's,
Right.
That is the mindset
Right.
that I can
so that's
do.
where your head's at, right? Is that where your head's at?
That's always what Limitless means to me.
Good.
I could do anything I want.
All right. Any parting words?
No, see you at home.
All right.